Hi, it's Miss Chrissy from the Hickory Corner Branch Library, and today I want to show you how to make an art activity inspired by the book Rainbow Crow. So I read this book in another video. It's a Lenape legend about how Crow went from being the most beautiful bird on earth with the most beautiful rainbow feathers and a sweet singing voice to the crow we know today with the black feathers and the harsh call. And if you watch that video and you hear the story, you'll also see that at the end of the story, Crow's black feathers are still able to reflect all the colors on Earth. And so there's still rainbows in his feathers. And that's where the inspiration for this art activity comes from. Because in this activity, we're gonna make scratch art. So we're gonna start with just plain white paper. It's better if it's a thicker piece of paper like cardstock or watercolor. And you're gonna need crayons or oil pastels, something that's gonna create a waxy or oily surface down at the bottom, because then we're gonna paint over it. So when you color this, you just basically wanna cover all of the white that's here. So you can do any design you want. You could use stripes, you could do like how I have here, this pattern, but depending on how you do it, obviously that's where the colors are gonna be revealed when we scratch later. So I like to do kind of one like this, where it is kind of a patchwork of all different colors. So there's colors revealed throughout. And now you see the next step, we need to paint it, we need to cover it. So I like to lay it down on either a paper towel, or if you have wax paper, that's even better, because the wax paper, the paper won't stick to it. So that's good to use because we want to cover our work area, because we're going to be using the black paint. Can either be a tempera paint or acrylic paint. Acrylic does give a better coating, so you don't have to go over it as many times. So I like the acrylic for that. But if tempera is what you have, you can use that as well. I usually put a little bit of dish soap in mine, just a few squirts, a few little drops in there, so that it creates kind of a little bit of a more elastic surface when it dries, so that when you're actually scratching it, it makes a smoother scratch versus cracking pieces you don't necessarily want to crack. So you're just going to go over this. I go one direction to start. So I'm just going to cover the whole thing in one direction. And it's okay if you're not getting every little thing, because we're going to go over it again. And if you're using a thinner paint like tempera, you'll probably have to go over it more than twice. Now, if you don't have the patience for that, you don't want to go and do several layers and wait for it to dry, one of the things you could do is you could actually just use a Q-tip right now. Instead of waiting to do scratch art, you could use a Q-tip and go over it instead, or even your finger instead of a Q-tip, but you can start revealing the picture right now, kind of just like it is scratch art. And then if you don't like what you did, you just go over it with some more paint. So it's a way you can either practice, or so you don't have to wait for it to dry. I'll write my name in there. So I have some scratch art going on right there. Or again, we're going to cover it and wait for it to dry, and then we'll do another coat to make sure all the colors are covered. And then when that is completely dry, we can do our scratch art. Okay, so now that our paper is dry, it's time for our scratch art. So to do the scratch art, you can use a wooden skewer, or like I said, a feather if you want to tie it in with the story. You can also draw it out first with a pencil if you like. If you're using the pencil, you want to draw kind of lightly just to sketch out what you want to do, or you can just do it freehand. So it can be as simple as writing your name or any kind of picture you want it to be. One of the things I like in this story was at the beginning of the book, it shows all of the branches and the leaves like that. And then you see the bird, the crow, when it was bright and colorful. And then I think it's even cooler at the end though, when the crow is dark, but you can see the rainbow colors underneath. So I think a crow would be a really good one to do, where you're showing those rainbow colors, or even just the tree branches. So however you want to do it, you can just start drawing it out. And you have to draw lightly, because it will start to scratch some of the paint off, which is completely fine, because you're going to be scratching it off anyway. But then when you're ready to really scratch it, you're going to use something sharp, so a toothpick or a skewer. And then you're going to actually scrape that off to reveal your color underneath. And you can kind of make whatever you want. Now this is where the soap kind of made it a little bit more elastic, and that way instead of really cracking, you're able to kind of wipe it away and not get parts that you didn't want to be revealed coming off and cracking off. So there's just some color being revealed right now and there, some little rainbows. So let me show you what I made. So here's my crow in the tree. I think it looks really pretty. I hope you have a lot of fun making scratch art at home.